for Bobby Cox and the Braves. They've won 6 straight against the Reds this year. The Reds have had trouble for most of the 90s beating Atlanta, whether it be here or in Atlanta. This guy was on the other side of the fence up until this year. Brett sends it to center field. Jeffrey Hammonds in about 8 steps, and there's 2 away. Here are the numbers on Denny Neagle.
Well, those are the numbers on the year, but I'd rather talk about the numbers we've seen the first couple of batters against Neagle. He has thrown this fastball at 90 miles an hour. Boy, remember back in spring training when people said if we could only get Denny Neagle up to around 87, 88, he'd be fine. Well, 90-mile-an-hour fastball, first pitch to Brett Boone. The second pitch, a changeup at 80. That's a good difference in speed, but also a little extra pop on that fastball can make those right-handed hitters a little bit more honest at the plate. Can't cheat on the slow stuff if you've got to turn it up to catch up with the fastball.
And this is a guy that can do both. He'll cheat and hit, or he'll catch up on the fastball. He did that against Juan Acevedo last night in the 12th inning in St. Louis to give the Braves a 12th inning victory against St. Louis. And he's been poison to the Reds. His overall numbers 322, 34, and 84. That's the makings of an MVP candidate. That's what he is. National League home run hitters. The home run last night, his 34th of the year. Remember, Sammy Sosa hit one in Los Angeles last night. He has a 3 home run lead over Mark McGwire now, 54 to 51. And Chris, we talk about turning it up a little bit, and this guy has. In the last couple of weeks, the Braves have won 10 straight against the Reds this year, 471, and through his career he's been poisoned too. But the big guy has turned it up for Atlanta during this streak.
You know, that's the stretch that's really gotten it done. But interestingly enough, George, just 10-game winning streak is the longest the Braves have had in 7 years. And the team batting average during this 10-game winning streak is a mere .234. So collectively, they've not gotten it done. Chipper Jones, though, has come through big way in at clutch times.
3-1, pop back, it'll be out of play. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I might add to that the pitching staff has done their part too. Their earned run average over this 10-game streak is 2.1, so they're getting it done the good old-fashioned Atlanta Braves way. Good pitching, good defense, and clutch hitting.
Biggest difference in that pitching statistic is that it's been more the bullpen that's had the lower earned run average than the starters. Used to it, we get to September and it's the starters that are blowing everybody away, but it's been the bullpen that's been dominant. That's down in the dirt. It's a walk to Chipper Jones. And there's your first base runner. Here's your 4 defensive alignment. Boone, Larkin, Reese, and Casey across the infield. Jason Laroo gets to start behind the plate. Vaughn's in left. Hammonds in for Cameron in center. Dimitri Young in right. Cameron still nursing that pulled left hamstring, and really with legs being so much a part of his game, he may take a couple of more games off before he gets back in there. He's trying to get back in, but the hamstring continues to nag at him. Hammonds has played exceptionally well in his place the last 3 games in Montreal. So Chipper's on, and they'll toss over there once. Here's the number 4 hitter, Brian Jordan. Jordan waited till he took batting practice today to decide whether or not he would be in the lineup. When they came to the ballpark, Bobby Cox wrote a lineup without Brian Jordan in it. He's still nursing a bad wrist. The wrist will have to have surgery in the offseason. He's got a bone spur on the bone that also is impinging on the ligament. Pop to the right side. Is there room for Casey? It'll be in the seats. No balls and 2 strikes. The decision for Jordan is to have surgery now, which really is not a decision at all. Or try to nurse his way through it. He and Don Baylor, the hitting coach, have tried to rework his swing, shorten it a little bit, punch at the ball a little more. You see his numbers against the Reds overall at .295, 22 home runs and 100 runs batted in. So he's had a big year for Atlanta, and they're going to need him to produce, whether it's an altered swing or not, in the final month of the season.
Obviously doesn't hurt him too much when he hits a line drive.
He did not start in any of the 3 games back in St. Louis. That's where he used to play with the Cardinals. He pinch hit last night and argued a called third third strike and was ejected from the game. Well, he swings and misses here. Strikeout number 1 for Neagle. Reds try to do what they need to do on the offensive side with Reese, Larkin, and Casey do up.
And this is a resurgent Tom Glavin as such. Overall, he's only 11-9. Earned run average over 4. Very un-Glavin-like, especially since he is the reigning Cy Young winner. But he has won 3 straight, 8 of the last 10. And he has pitched at least 6 innings in the last 17 of 18 games he has started. So he has been a real workhorse as of late here, making start number 29.
Glavin to Pokey, 1 ball and 1 strike. Pokey at 285, 8 home runs, and 43 runs batted in.
And if you watch the style of Tom Glavin, it'll be very much like the style of Denny Neagle. Their outpitch to most right-handed hitters is going to be a changeup. Pokey Reese out in front of that last one.
Hey, for every Reds home run between now and the end of the season, each sponsor of the Reds United Way Home Run Derby will donate $100 to the local United Way. Today we salute Mayor Signs Incorporated. Down and in for a ball. That's the call of home plate umpire Charlie Relaford. Relaford behind the plate, Gibbons at first, Kellogg at second, Dana DeMuth over at third. Ryan's your first base umpire, Jeff Kellogg your second base umpire, and Dana DeMuth over at third. Remember, this is showdown week for many reasons. The Reds and the Braves, and over in the other showdown series in the National League, the Astros and the Mets are meeting each other for the final time. And in addition, it's showdown time for rosters. Bobby Cox for the Braves, Jack McKeon for the Reds have until Tuesday at midnight to set the eligibility for their postseason roster. That's a little bit low. And while we talk about umpires, of course, had originally set September the 2nd as their resignation date, and right now those 22 umpires who have been on the hook, Charlie Relaford being one of them, who's submitted their resignations, are standing on a September 2nd deadline when they are expected to lose their jobs. The hope is that there will be some kind of a compromise, and that some of these umpires who are quality umpires, Charlie Relaford included, will be able to save their jobs. But we're heading to deadline week in baseball for a number of reasons. There's a walk to Pokey, and the Reds have a leadoff base runner. Defense sponsored by Ford for the Atlanta Braves. Chipper Jones as usual at third. Walt Weiss to start at short. Brett Boone, the reigning Rawlings Gold Glover, at second. Brian Hunter at first with a left-hander going. Klesko out of the lineup. Gerald Williams in left. Andrew Jones in center, and Brian Jordan over in right. Eddie Perez behind the plate. Andrew, yes, he's spectacular, and he'll also throw you out, as those 12 assists will show you. He's come up with some brilliant plays against the Reds. He came up with 2 fine catches in the series and a big home run that won 1 ball game. Here's Barry at 303. They got Pokey picked. The throw is wide, and he's safe.
Pokey did the only thing he could do in that situation. He had a big lead off Tom Glavin, and he went on the first move that Glavin made. Glavin really didn't speed up his delivery to get it over to Brian Hunter, who is a left-handed thrower, so it's a little easier for a lefty first baseman. But Hunter gets it over to second base, and you see Weiss covering. He gets it on the shortstop side of the bag. Pokey Reese with a head-first slide. He gets a stolen base, number 30.
Here's Barry Larkin with a runner in scoring position. Larkin punches it to the right side and foul for strike 1. Hey, if you have a craving for ribs, can't get to Cincinnati, order the world's greatest ribs in the Montgomeryans mail order division. Call 1-800-USA-RIBS and your craving will be satisfied immediately. Barry's had some success against Glavin in his career. You saw those opening numbers. And overall, he's in a 303, 9 home runs, 63 runs batted in. Chess match right here is first Glavin and Larkin, and secondly Larkin and Boone, because Barry against Glavin usually goes the other way, and Brett Boone, who knows Barry Larkin so well, being his teammate from '94 through '98, trying to keep a runner close, but at the same time trying to plug that hole on the right side. 0-2. Bounce to the right side. That'll get the runner over. Glavin will tap the bag. And the Reds, with 1 out, get the runner over to third base. So Larkin gets the job done, gets an applause from the fans here, and the Reds have a runner in scoring position with 1 out.
Going down the line hard that time, Barry Larkin. Larkin. It was a good play by Larkin, of course, getting the runner over the ground ball. But at the very end of that play, a little bit of contact that he made with Tommy Glavin. Normally, you see a guy pull up, try to avoid it, but didn't look like he was trying to avoid anything with Glavin, who got out of the way just in time.
There is a level of intensity in this clubhouse, both clubhouses preceding the game today, that has been uncommon this year, and it will be a good sign for the Cincinnati ball club. Here's Casey. Sean's in at 335, 20 home runs, 80 runs batted in. Let's watch Barry down the first base line.
Take a look at Larkin now. It's a high hopper. He's got a chance. He's thinking maybe beating this one out, but at the very end of this, not tough contact right there, but usually you see a guy pull up a little bit more than that. That may not mean anything except that Larkin's dialed a little bit tighter tonight.
With one out, the Braves will pull the infield in for this at-bat with Casey at the plate. So Casey, who had this similar situation, runner on third, one out in Montreal, just trying to shorten that swing, make contact. Andrew Jones playing him straight away in center, so he's got a big hole in left center. He's looking to go that way. We'll take a strike. It's 2-1. Sean, 348 on the road trip, tied with Vaughn, and runs batted in with 80 for the Reds. The runners in scoring position over 350 this year. Ground ball to second. Boone gobbles it up, pulls the runner, and throws out Casey. So bringing the infield in, saves a run for Atlanta there, and it'll be up to Vaughn to try to get the run in. It's a KG veteran at second and a KG veteran on the mound as you watch Reese dangle off third.
Textbook play right here for Brett Boone. He's got Pokey Reese. Nowhere to go right there for Pokey, because as the play developed, Boone charged that ball and charged it hard, realizing that if he had to make a play at the plate, it would be an easy play to pick off Pokey.
Now Boone is playing almost directly behind second base against Vaughn. Vaughn, we could tell you, since injuring that right shoulder, has been going mostly to right field. He's got a big hole on the right side, foul back and out of play.
You know, the interesting thing, George, is that the Braves defense playing Greg Vaughn way around to the left with Brett Boone almost up the middle. But look at the outfield. They're playing him pretty much straight away. Andrew Jones actually shading a little bit to right center. Bobby Cox has always been a manager to slightly overplay the scouting book.
What it tells you, too, is that Glavin will probably be pitching this right-handed hitter inside, and that's what Perez sets up. So if Vaughn's going to get it to the right side, he's going to have to inside out his swing.
The other thing it tells you is that the scouting book on Vaughn right now says that when he gets the ball on the ground, he pulls it. When he gets it in the air, he goes the other way.
All that counts right now is getting a run home, and that's the run that the Reds want to get home. Bottom of one, we're scoreless. The 29 home runs for Vaughn, leading the Reds. There it is, line drive, right field. That'll get the run home. Jordan cuts it off, and Vaughn does what he needed to do. Get the ball to the right side. The Reds get a run and lead it 1-0.
It's funny, the scouting report probably from the advanced scout says, yeah, Greg Vaughn's got a sore shoulder. He's been hitting the ball to right field. You better crowd him with fastballs. But that goes against the scouting report that Tommy Glavin has on Greg Vaughn over the years. So somehow you got to trust your gut instinct, still not believing that Vaughn will go the other way. Well, that time he does and gets the best of Glavin with a 2-out RBI.
The irony of this is that really the Braves did not scout the Reds in Montreal. They just saw them last week, and with these back-to-back series, very often you see a team once, and the Reds didn't scout the Braves the last series, and likewise. But Vaughn made some adjustments, and that adjustment pays off in a base hit there. Now we'll see if he'll be off and running too from first base with Dimitri at the plate. Here's the one ball delivery. Missing outside. That's a spot that Tom Glavin has owned over the last few years. And you know all about the offseason talk of tightening the strike zone against Maddox and Glavin. And yes, umpires did that at the first part of the season. I don't think it's as pronounced right now, but it really forced Tom Glavin and Greg Maddox to adjust, and they've adjusted big time.
Actually, that has really had a bigger effect on the umpires than it has on the players this year. That is one of the beefs that the umpires has against Major League Baseball, is that they unilaterally made umpires change the strike zone without any input from the umps. So it hasn't affected the Braves pitchers very much. It's affected the umpires.
Sure did affect them early, though, when they were struggling through the first half. There goes Vaughn on the 3-0. It's fouled off.
If that's the reason they struggled. I think it was probably part of it.
I don't think it was the only reason, but it was pretty clear, Chris. We saw it when we went to Atlanta. We saw it watching videotape and games that those pitches they were getting last year and the year before, they didn't get the first 2 months of the season. And as Glavin explains it, what he tried to do was react by getting closer to that corner, and what he did was get over the plate instead of not being on the outside of the plate. He was throwing the ball over the middle of the plate, and he paid the price. What he's done of late is pitch inside more, and he's using his curveball a little bit more.
Well, what Braves pitchers like to describe it as is expanding the strike zone. Early in the ball game, in the eyes of the hitter, he'll try to throw the ball on the corner. Then as the game progresses, he'll get a little bit farther outside, maybe an inch, maybe two. Third or fourth inning, he'll work out the 2 or 3 or 4 inches, and really dictated by how much the umpire is giving him. Also, you got to consider that a right-handed hitter, and you face Tommy Glavin, you're looking for the ball away. Well, if you get it away and you see it coming away, you're apt to swing at it. You may not know when it leaves his hands whether it's going to be 1 inch outside or 6 inches outside. That's what makes him so effective.
Here's the 3-2 to Dimitri. Vaughn will be off and running. Hop foul. It'll be in the seats and out of play. So the count will hold at 3 balls and 2 strikes. First of 3. And the last 3 between these two teams. Atlanta has won all 6 of the games played in Atlanta. Braves come here only once this year, here the last month of the season. Glavin, 14 games he's won here at Riverfront, now Synergy Field. He's won 21 games against the Reds in his career. Fouled off again. Dimitri spoils a pretty good pitch. And Vaughn's getting his wind sprints in, saying, come on. Is he trotting back to first? He's walking back now. This will be the 4th time he'll be off and running. Hunter about 10 feet behind him at first. There he goes. And Glavin gets Dimitri. But a walk, a stolen base, a ground ball to the right side, and a single by Vaughn. The Reds lead it 1-0. Andrew Jones, Brian Hunter, Eddie Perez due up for Atlanta. Andrew. And at 269, 24 home runs, 75 runs batted in. We just left Montreal, where we saw one of the young, exciting players of the National League and of all of baseball, Vladimir Guerrero. This guy's in the same category. Still a youngster, only 22 years of age, and he's a whole package. And like Guerrero, still maturing. Sometimes erratic in the field, sometimes spectacular. Sometimes erratic at the plate, and sometimes spectacular. 1 ball, 1 strike. Down to third. Boone will have to charge and unload. He does. Just does get him by a half a step. You can't hesitate a moment with Andrew Jones running down that line.
And you play him, of course, differently when you're on AstroTurf than when you're on natural grass. You can play a little bit deeper on turf, especially when you've got an arm like Aaron Boone. And he gets it across the infield pronto.
Got his weight going towards first and a bullet across the infield. Boone gets the first out with the assist, and here's the former Red Brian Hunter. There have been 3 Braves that have regularly played third this year. Brian Hunter. Ryan Klesko has alternated between left and first. And Randall Simon. In fact, if you go back to March, Morris's name was one of those bandied about as a possible acquisition by the Braves when Andres Galarraga went down. Larkin has that one, and there's 2 away. Time for our Lowe's Nose Reds history. On this date, 1990, Chris Sabo and Jeff Reed each had 2 hits in the Reds' 6-run 5th inning as the Reds won 6-5 in Chicago.
Each of those guys had a couple of singles. Sabo led off the inning, and Reed scored. Danny Jackson, big year that year. He got the win, and one of the Nasty Boys, Randy Myers, got the save.
And the Reds got what they really needed at the end of the year, and that was a world championship. Here's Eddie Perez. Well, we talk about the problems at first for the Braves when Galarraga went down. Andres out for the year with a cancerous tumor in his back. He's expected to join the Braves in September and start to work his way back, but not expected to play at all this year. Ball to Eddie. That's a big dent in the Braves' armor. The other big dent was when they lost their #1 catcher, Javi Lopez, an outstanding clutch hitter. Perez and Greg Myers, the two catchers that the Braves use right now. And in between all of that, they also lost Odalis Perez, one of their young starters, and of course lost their closer Kerry Lightenberg in spring training. John Rockers filled that bill outstandingly, and the bullpen, which was a big weak spot for the Braves first half of the year, has come together and gotten stronger as the years progressed. Pokey Reese says, "I have it." He does, and that'll do it. 1, 2, 3. So through the first two, Neagle's allowed only a walk to Chipper Jones. Aaron Boone, Hammonds, and Laroo do up bottom of 2. On Larkin's ground out to the right side and scored on the base hit by Greg Vaughn. Well, this year started with everyone wondering who the third baseman would be for the Reds. Would it be the young third baseman, Aaron Boone, whose credentials at AAA warranted a major league shot? Would it be Mark Lewis? Would it be Carlos Baerga? Well, Boone, coming in at an even 300, has shown he can play at the major league level, and he's won the job.
And it's been a big learning curve for Aaron Boone too, because he got off to a very bad start. In April he hit 156, in May he hit 200, but ever since then he has hit over 300. July 356, and now the month of August right around 304. So he's a guy that has essentially adjusted to the way National League pitchers are pitching him, and done a good job at it.
3-1 from Glavin. Off the end of the bat, but foul.
Tommy Glavin is no ordinary left-hander. Lots of tricks, but his best and biggest trick of all is the ability to spot his fastball, really inner part of the plate, outer part of the plate, then change speeds on it.
Slice to right. That'll reach the seats, be out of play. The count will stay at 3 balls and 2 strikes.
What Glavin likes to do most is really rely on the most recent pitch that he throws you. For instance, if he throws you a fastball at 89 or 90, the next pitch is likely to come in there not at 89 or 90 again, but maybe 80. Then he'll go back to 89, and then he'll drop down to 86. Very rarely do you see 2 back-to-back the same speed.
Very rarely will you see 2 leadoff walks from this left-hander too. He walks Reese in the first, walks Boone in the second, and here's Hammonds with a runner on and no one out. Jeffrey's been a boon for the Reds this week. On the road trip, he hit over 400 in 7 games and 3 starts. His last series of starts, 6 of them all told, is hitting .348, 8 for 23. One of the strengths of this Reds team has been the bench, and Hammonds certainly plays that tune with Cameron on the sidelines with the pulled hamstring. In fact, yesterday it looked as if Jeffrey Hammonds had gotten Pete Harnish off the hook. Harnish led 5-0 after the Expos rallied to tie it at 5. Hammonds' home run, his 11th of the year, made it 6-5. But then the Expos came back again, scored 3, and won it 8-6.
Little attempt at a frame job right there by catcher Eddie Perez. Perez is set up about 4 inches outside, so even if he catches it and doesn't move the glove, technically it's not a strike. That ball a little bit more outside than he wanted it, tried to bring it back, and that's a dead giveaway for an umpire that the catcher knows it's not a strike, but he's trying to buy one.
Ball and a strike to Hammonds, and they'll toss to first. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, being brought to you by First Star, proud to be the official bank of the Cincinnati Reds. Drill to center. Oh, this is a rocket. It's going away. about a shot in the arm when Cincinnati needs it. Jeffrey Hammonds has given it to Jack McKeon. Back-to-back home run days for Hammonds. The Reds now lead it 3-0.
Of this bench, George, and when you're missing when you're missing Mike Cameron for a while, not sure when he'll be back in the lineup, it's so important to be able to put a guy in there who will not only give you some good defense but pick up offensively. Jeffrey Hammonds from the number 7 spot in the order goes right out the front door.
You talk about a sweet swing. Boy, he put a sweet swing on that one, and it looked like something out of Cape Canaveral. Dave Collins looking for the replay on the board. So were the rest of the Reds. Well, number 4 really put a number on that pitch from Glavin. Off the end of the bat, Jason Laroo, foul. 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's another look.
In fact, not only the Reds were looking for it, but Tommy Glavin too. He didn't think it was that bad of a pitch. It was outer part of the plate, down around the knees. But Jeffrey Hammonds gets those arms extended. Andrew Jones, the best in the business, is going back on him. Fortunately, runs out of room.
It's like Andrew thinks he's got about another 15 feet. Fortunately, he didn't. Because he's like Spider-Man, the way he pulls balls off the wall. Number 12 for Jeffrey Hammonds, second in 2 days, and the Reds lead at 3-0. He's played this year with great equilibrium. A guy who hoped to be a starter. When the Reds traded for Mike Cameron, he realized he wouldn't be. And he hasn't bellyached, hasn't moaned, and he's contributed all along the road. Tough to do for a guy who was a number 1 draft pick and who came here thinking he'd be a number 1 player.
Well, they've waited for a long time for Jeffrey Hammonds to finally fill out the prospectus of him, which was going to be an impact player. Never really got that in Baltimore, and he thought that he was going to get everyday playing time. But when you trade for a youngster like Mike Cameron and give him the advantage.
Laroo's going to turn first, head for second. He'll cruise into second and hold there. Boy, there was a bullet past the shortstop, Walter Weiss. Second straight hard hit ball. There's a runner in scoring position with the Reds leading at 3-0.
He stings this ball pretty good. Glavin this time trying to go inside on Jason Laroo, and the quick inside out swing right there, right by Walt Weiss. Laroo's got good speed, so a double's no problem for him. He was even toying with the idea of maybe going for 3.
Nobody out. You don't want to make the first out at third. He doesn't, and with the pitcher coming up, you expect a sacrifice from Neagle here. Still no one out. Weiss jockeying behind Laroo over at second. Neagle takes a ball. The throw down to second won't be in time.
A set play. I think that was one of those modified pitch outs right there, where you want to make the pitch close enough that the batter will still try to attempt and then pull the bat back, but have that shortstop sneak in behind the runner, especially a youngster like Laroo, and maybe pick him off being a little bit too aggressive on the base paths. Good heads up by Laroo, not falling for it.
Here's the 1 ball. Neagle pops it up. It'll be a fair ball. It'll get the runner to third, though. He did the right thing. He forced Chipper Jones to make the play, and that allowed Laroo easily to get to third. Neagle will get high fives, and the Reds have another run over at third base.
A little bit of thank you goes out to Chipper Jones on this ball, because it's obviously going foul. Got a lot of spin on it. Takes 1 hop right there. That baby will go foul, no problem. But he'll take the sacrifice, take the out at first base, and advance the runner, putting the responsibility now on Tommy Glavin to pitch for the 2nd time in 2 innings with the infield drawn in.
1 out. Here's the top of the order, Pokey Reese. He walked his first time up, stole second, and scored. 3 runs, 3 hits for Cincinnati. Remember, later on, it's the Mets in Houston, with the Astros holding a 1.5 lead over the Reds. The Braves right now holding a 3.5 game lead over the Mets. So what you want in September, as you head into the final month of the season, exciting series, and there are 2 of them in the National League tonight. 0-2 to Reese. Griffey Sr., Sean Casey, and Dimitri Young all huddled talking, and boy, did they scatter fast.
Glavin looking for a strikeout. Reese just trying to stay alive.
Still 0-2. Way wide, 1-2.
And that at bat. I couldn't even say fastballs really, because the first one was more of a dead fish fastball intended to get a ground ball. That came in at 83. The next one at 87 was a call strike, and then Glavin turns it up a couple of notches with this one, a 90-mile-an-hour heater.
So now 2 outs, and the Braves can drop the infield back. Still a runner at third, and here's Barry Larkin. Larkin bounced to first in the first inning, advancing with no outs. Reese from second to third, and Reese later scored on the base hit by Vaughn. Barry up for the second time in at 3:03. Line drive center field. Here comes Jones, but he says, let it drop. Realizing if it gets by him, it's probably a triple. He held up. He did have a shot at it, but he took the safe route. The Reds get another run out of it, and it's 4-0 Cincinnati. A bullet from Larkin.
Or nothing more demoralizing for a pitcher like Tommy Glavin than to give up a 2-out RBI. Second inning in a row that's happened to him. Greg Vaughn got him in the first. Barry Larkin, the other big guy in this ball club, gets him here in the second.
So now Larkin's on with Casey at the plate. Will he be off and running? With 2 outs, Casey bounced to second his first time up. That fastball's up high for ball 1. Casey at one time led the league at 374 on the 24th of July. In the next 30 days, he hit 183 to drop to 330. He's been on the rebound since. Now he's up to 335. Come up with some big hits for the Reds in the last week. You know, sometime during the year you're going to hit a dry spell. What makes a good major league hitter is battling out of that dry spell and bouncing back. And that's what Casey has weathered. He's weathered his first big storm of 99. Larkin not going. There's a strike, 2-1.
Well, Tommy Glavin over the course of the season has had a tough time early in the ball game, like most pitchers do, but Glavin really exemplifies it right here. Earned run average over 5 in the first 3 innings, and it gets better as the game goes on. There was a time a couple of years ago, George, 3 or 4 years ago, that Tommy Glavin had a horrendous time early in the ball games. They figured if you could get him by the first or second inning, he'd be okay. They would probably shut you out the rest of the way, but he has somewhat overcome that. But this year it sneaks up behind him. A lot of those high numbers in the first 3 came in the first part of the year.
Larkin not going. Pitch up high, and it's 3-1. Now 3-1. Larkin may be off and running with Casey at the plate. Vaughn on deck. A little bit bigger lead for Larkin. He's going. It's a strike. The throw will be wide, and Barry will be in there. Second time the throw at second wide. When Reese tried to steal, the throw from the first baseman Hunter was to the shortstop side. So is this one.
You called it, George. A little bit bigger lead that time. His foot just on the carpet. That got him a little bit closer to second base. The throw by Perez, pretty good one, just not in time. Like he went hard into second base. Walt Wise turns his glove and he's going to go get another one. Wonder if maybe he tore a couple of stitches out of the webbing there.
Well, that's his Golden Glove. That's the one he's been using. The one he just gave up is the one he's used for the last 7 years. That's his backup glove he's got now.
He's had plenty of time to break it in.
That's like losing a good friend. Casey to center field, but Andrew Jones will be there. Larkin was off and running. Jones has it. The Reds will strand a runner. They've stranded two, but thank you, Jeffrey Hammonds. A bolt from the center fielder has given the Reds a 4-0 lead. So Weiss gets his second of the year, 25 in his career. Let's see, how many is he behind McGuire now?
And counting.
4-1 Reds lead. Here's Glavin. Last time Glavin homered, it was against the Reds about 5 years ago against John Smiley down in Atlanta. Gave him a 2-1 victory against Smiles. Great pitchers duel late into the game, and Glavin ended it with the home run. Slap foul, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Boy, Denny Neagle doing a little bit of an odd something into his windup, George. Kind of a little Louis Tion or maybe even a Fernando Valenzuela look up into the sky. Watch his head, almost give him a little head fake in there as he goes through. Kind of looks back, looks forward.
Just nubs that one foul, and it stays 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Atlanta for the early part of the 90s was the home of the great changeup. Denny Neagle perfected his there. Glavin and Maddox, of course, and Steve Avery. Neagle wanted the call, doesn't get it. Now it's 3-2. Leo Mazzoni. Usually he puts his starters on automatic pilot. This year they've all had to work a lot harder. There's ball 4. Second walk issued by Neagle. He walked Chipper Jones in the first. So still no one out, runner down at first, and Gerald Williams will come to the plate.
Idea for Jason Laroo, even though he's a youngster, even though he's a rookie, going out to a veteran pitcher like that, go out there and settle him down a little bit, because the last thing you really want to do is walk the pitcher. But how often do you see it, George? A guy hits a home run, I would say more than 50% of the time the next batter gets a base on balls. What makes it hurt most of all, that was Tom Glavin and not Chipper Jones that he put on first base.
So now working from the stretch is Neagle. Here's Gerald Williams, fly ball to left, tries to bunt his way on. No sacrifice, bunting for a base hit. It's fouled off for strike 1. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds or Fox Sports Net, Ohio. One strike to Gerald. Fishing for that, and it's 0-2.
That's the changeup down the zone, designed to get the ground ball. Pretty good speed. Gerald Williams has grounded into 7 double plays.
Short lead, Glavin. Pop back and out of play. Count stays, no balls and 2 strikes. Gerald was the other Williams coming up in the Yankee organization. There was Bernie Williams and Gerald Williams. At one point they thought they'd both be in the starting lineup. Bernie in center, Gerald in left. Gerald eventually traded to Milwaukee and then to the Braves. That was part of the deal in '96 when the Yankees won the World Championship. Gerald still feels like he left something behind, wanted to be a part of that World Championship team. He was traded to Milwaukee for Graham Lloyd and Pat Listach. popped up. Larkin calling. There's your first out. And here comes Brett Boone. Boone, fly ball center field, his first time up. Braves only came to town once, so today was the first day that Brett had a chance to see some of the fans here, and there were a bunch of them to say hi, yell at him from the stands, and welcome him back.
Now, do they want to say hi or do they want to yell at him?
A little bit of both. But a good yell. He was one of the Reds' most popular players while he was here. He hated to leave here, and Reds fans and his teammates hated to see him go.
I bet he was a little surprised to pick up the Cincinnati Post this afternoon and see what the readers' survey was as to whether readers were asked whether they liked Pokey Reese or Brett Boone as second base, and by a 3-to-1 ratio they responded that they liked Pokey Reese, that they thought they actually upgraded the position. Kind of a short memory because Pokey Reese has played a spectacular second base, there's no question about it. But Brett Boone, as we have seen during our trip through Atlanta, and if you've watched any of the Braves games over the weekend, still plays a pretty doggone good second base.
He made 2 brilliant plays last night in St. Louis that kept the game tied. And the Braves finally won it in the 12th on Chipper's home run. 0-2. And the other part of it, John Schuerholz and Bobby Cox both wanted to change the chemistry of their ball club. The team that the Braves were in the mid-90s is not the team that they were at the end of last year. They wanted more intensity. So Brett leaves from the right side of your screen, goes to the left side. That opens a hole for Pokey, and both have had prosperous years. Pokey's proven exactly how good a defensive player he could be, and he's surprised some folks with the kind of offense he's thrown out. And the Braves got what they wanted. The 2 guys they acquired, Boone and Jordan, each have added some intensity to a clubhouse that lost something when they lost David Justice, lost something when they lost the likes of Jeff Blauser and people like that. And that's one of the reasons why, in spite of the injuries this year, the Braves still are leading the National League East. Neagle doesn't want to make a mistake, so he and Laroo get together on the 0-2.
Which Brett Boone has improved upon dramatically over last year and years past when he was wearing a Red uniform is grounding into double plays. This year Brett has only grounded into 9 double plays. He usually used to have a number over 20, among the league leaders nearly every year.
0-2 in the dirt. Good job by Laroo, but it kicks away from him, and Glavin will go to second. So now the Reds can't get the double play to end the inning. Good job by Laroo just to get a piece of that one. It exploded in front of him.
And even a better job by Tommy Glavin, because sometimes the runner can lose place of the ball, but he realized that Laroo was looking around. Glavin spotted the ball before Laroo did. It was behind the umpire back there, and he took second base no problem. So that eliminates the possibility of a double play.
That's a wild pitch charged against Neagle. Oh, runner at second. 1 out, and it's 1-2 now. Well, that would have been your 6-4-3. Instead, it's a 6-3 putout. And Neagle will deal for the final out with Glavin still sitting on second. Part of that equation for Brett Boone on the fewer number of double plays this year too. He's admitted he's changed his swing a bit. They moved him up to the number 2 spot. Down deep in the order, he was always swinging from his hips. He said, you know, I struggled a little bit trying to change my swing when I was in Cincinnati. I've had to adjust it again in the 2nd spot in the order.
Got pretty good protection too with Chipper Jones behind him.
Good spot to be. Chipper fouls it off. Jones walked in the 1st inning. Popped up. Casey, does he have room? He does. So the home run by Walt Weiss gets the Braves on the board. And the Reds hold on to a 4-1 lead as we go to the bottom of 3, and Vaughn will lead it off.
You got to admire, however, the way the Reds are playing aggressive baseball on the base paths.
Well, they were, quite frankly, embarrassed when the Braves stole 5 against them, and they were supposed to be the running team when the Reds were in Atlanta last week. The Reds have stolen, and consistently they've been about 20-25 stolen bases ahead of the Braves all year. But tonight it's been the running game that's gotten them going. Pokey has a stolen base, Larkin has a stolen base, but Greg Vaughn caught there. First inning at Houston, no score. Mets and the Astros. Everything else later on in the National League. 2 balls, 1 strike to Dimitri Young, who struck out to end the first. Loop to right, long run Boone. Can he get there? He'll peel off. Dimitri will hold at first with a base hit. The only guy that had a real shot at it was Brett Boone, and when he peeled off, Dimitri knew he had 1, and he was hoping for a high bounce and getting 2 out of it.
Well, Brett Boone peels off of this ball, but I don't know whether it was because he didn't think he could get to it or because he thought perhaps Brian Jordan was actually closer than he was. It looked like Brett, if he gave a couple of more steps and maybe an outstretched arm, he'd at least get to the vicinity.
And we see it so often, Chris. Outfielders on those kind of pop-ups are very leery with the spongy nature of this turf. You want to make a play, but if you don't, it's over your head and possibly all the way to the wall.
And infielders are very leery too, are running into a guy like Brian Jordan.
Wouldn't you be?
Hey, guys in the NFL were. They had full pads.
He's a big body. Here's Glavin to the stretch with Dimitri on. By the way, while we talk football, we just want to wish the best to former Ohio State linebacker, Browns linebacker Chris Spielman, who announced his retirement today after a second neck injury. Outstanding competitor, and the youngster grew up in northern Ohio and ended his career right in Ohio as a Brown. We wish him the best in his post-football life, which we know will be very productive.
And it may be connected with the Browns.
It probably will be, and certainly with football. 3 balls, no strikes. Ball 4 to Boone, and we want to send our condolences to the Seattle Seahawks family and the family of Fritz Shermer, the great coordinator for the defense of the Green Bay Packers in their championship run. He went to Seattle with Mike Holmgren. Now we talk about, guys that are career baseball people who live their lives in baseball. The Bobby Coxes and the Jack McKeons. That's what Fritz Shermer was. He always had the twinkle in his eye. Always loved to work with young players and develop them. He passed away today at the age of 67 after a bout with cancer. And our condolences to the Shermer family and to all the Seattle folks too. So Boone walks, and here's Hammonds.
And we're on that kind of subject, George. We want to send along our best wishes to Bengals Kelvin Moore, who I understand is coming along quite nicely, able to get up and out of bed, walk with some help, and his rehabilitation process coming right along. And we send all our best wishes out to you, Kelvin.
Center field hit pretty good, but it'll stay in the park. Dimitri's going to tag at second. Andrew Jones has it. The throw will come to second as Boone wisely holds at first. So Hammonds put another hurt on a pitch from Glavin, but this one only gets to the warning track. First time up, Hammonds ripped his 12th home run. So now it's first and third with 2 outs for the Reds.
Well, a guy like Jeffrey Hammonds really has to square that ball perfectly to get it out right out the front door to dead center field. He did that the first time, tried it again, and anytime you get a little bit too much air underneath it, it's going to turn into a fly ball to center, and that's what happened to Jeffrey that time.
He's got 1 tonight, though. Now 1 for 2, home run number 12. Here's Jason Laroo, doubled his first time up and scored on a base hit by Larkin. Dimitri at third, Boone over at first.
What one other personal message, Jordan. A happy birthday to my daughter Carrie, celebrating today number 14 on her first day of school.
That's the way to do it,
kiddo.
That's the way to do it.
That gets your homework done.
And you're home too, which was great. Mets get a run in the top of the first against the Astros. Solo homer by Edgardo Alfonzo is 21st against Shane Reynolds. Reynolds trying to shake a 3-game losing streak. Masato Yoshii going for the Mets. Outside, 3-0 to Laroo. Remember, the pitcher's up next, so Glavin can treat him gingerly after Laroo hit a bullet through the infield for a double. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by your local Ford dealer. There's ball 4, and Neagle will come up.
That's a good point, George. Glavin obviously not going to just throw it down the middle for Jason Laroo. He'll take his chances with Denny Neagle, but what it does, regardless of what Denny Neagle does in this at bat, it turns the lineup over one more time. It gets those guys with the high on-base percentage and the high batting averages up more often in a ball game, and through the course of a game, that's important. Get that lineup turned over as many times as possible.
So it's Neagle against Glavin. For Glavin, that's his 4th walk of the ball game. Bases are now loaded. Fouled off his foot for strike 1. Usually Glavin will walk about 3 a game, 4 maybe. He's got 4 already in the first 3 innings. Well, everyone at this stage of the season looking for a shot in the arm. The Reds finally got Neagle healthy. For the last 2 months of the year, he's been like a trade for a pitcher for the Reds in August and September. Here's the 0-1, swing and a miss, 0-2. The search for pitching continues right through till the trading deadline, the roster deadline of the 1st of September for any contender. The Red Sox tonight announced that Ramon Martinez, who's been out the whole year with shoulder trouble, is going to make his Boston debut Thursday afternoon. He'll be activated from the disabled list. Will start in the last game of the series against Kansas City. Boy, he could be a big asset if he can help at all for the Red Sox. A dribbler down to short. Weiss has it, and they just do get the runner at second. The Reds leave the bases loaded. They've stranded 5 through 3 and lead it 4-0. Chris Welch, Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by your local. By Walt Weiss. Other than that, he's cruised pretty much through the first 3. Brian Jordan, Andrew Jones, Brian Hunter due up as we go to the 4th inning. Missing for ball 1. Jordan struck out in the first inning. Here's a guy who was an alternate All-Pro in the National Football League with the Atlanta Falcons. And even after he went to St. Louis, signed in the minor leagues and made it to the major leagues, he always entertained the idea of possibly going back to football. And he always entertained the idea of going back to Atlanta, either in baseball or football. And finally, as a free agent this year, he did that. Bobby Cox saying he is as pleased as you can be with the addition of Jordan. Not just his numbers, 22 home runs, 100 runs batted in, but the way he's blended in and been an asset in the clubhouse. The oddity is he's been injured more in baseball than he ever was in football.
Well, smaller injuries will keep you out of a baseball game than he will out of a football game. Guys are playing on Sunday afternoon with broken arms and broken hands, but you can't do that when you're a baseball player.
Short compact swing on the 2-2 delivery, and there's a base hit to left, so Jordan's on. Leadoff hit here in the 4th inning. Good example right there of what the hitting instructor Don Baylor's tried to do with Jordan. He said, look, you're going to have to adapt. You're not going to be able to swing as freely with the injured wrist, so shorten that swing and do this.
What you try to do when you have an injured wrist like that is avoid swinging and missing. That's what hurts the most. You make contact and it kind of pads your injury a little bit. A little quick swing like that with 2 strikes, though, that's always a good idea.
There's the man they call Groove, the former manager of the Colorado Rockies, and probably will be a manager again this winter. A number of folks will be looking at him. Uh-oh! Vaughn's not going to even move. That one's up in the second level. Andrew Jones punishes the Reds again. A 2-run home run. And look out, now it's a 4-3 ball game.
Well, the second home run given up by Denny Neagle in 2 innings. That'll prompt the visit to the mound by Jason Laroo. That's simply bad location right there. The Reds saw it too often, 2 days in a row, the last 2 games in Montreal, where they offense spotted the pitchers to big leads, and then the pitchers gave it up midway through the ball game. Here we are in the 4th. Andrew Jones is all over that.
Almost like a replay of last week in Atlanta. That was drilled a ton, and it's now a 1-run lead for the Reds as Hunter comes to the plate. Number 25 for Andrew. In his career against the Reds, that's his 15th home run, and now 36 runs batted in. Andrew Jones and Chipper Jones combined against the Reds in their career have 36 home runs. The Jones boys have been trouble. Line to left. There goes Vaughn. Got it. Well, 3 hard hit balls. Finally, that one finds leather, and there's 1 away.
On the run, Greg Vaughn really doesn't get as much credit as he should for being a good defensive outfielder. He goes back on the ball extremely well and makes a nice running catch there.
Eddie Perez, right center field. Dimitri, can he get there? Yes, he does. He does. Well, it's like batting practice off Neagle, and thanks to a catch by Vaughn in left and this one by Dimitri in right, it's not a tie ball game. It would have been back-to-back doubles.
Boy, Dimitri goes a long, long way to get that ball. I would say, George, judging from the catch that Vaughn made, the intensity Larkin has showed, and this catch by Dimitri Young, this team, the Reds that is, have ratcheted it up a notch or 2 tonight in intensity. They know the importance of this series and the importance of getting some momentum going.
You saw the momentum that Dimitri had going into that wall. Boom. That stops it. Don't worry, Rebecca. He's all right.
Maybe in the new ballpark, the fence will be lower. He'll be able to jump into the stands.
And the smile was across the left field, where Greg Vaughn just pumped his right hand in the air as if to say nice catch, and Dimitri acknowledged it over to his teammate in left field.
No more fastballs down the middle for you, Walt Weiss. Nice changeup right there by Denny Neagle.
1 ball, 1 strike to Weiss. Well, we saw it happen, Chris, the last 2 games in Montreal. The Reds had leads through 4, and in the 5th, here's another look at Dimitri. Boom. Thank you for the panning. Both Brett Tomko and Pete Harnish ran into trouble in the 5th, and Neagle has been hit hard here in the 4th, but fortunately 2 balls found leather. Four runs, 6 hits for the Reds, 3 runs, 3 hits for the Braves. Center field, Hammonds there. That'll do it. 3 fly ball outs after the single and the home run by Andrew. Dwindling down to those precious few. You can see the red-hot Reds in their race for the playoffs this month. Here's Pokey, top of the order. Walk, stolen base, scored a run in the 1st, and struck out looking in the 2nd. Strike to Pokey. Heading to the 2nd inning in Houston, 1-0 Mets. On the Edgardo Alfonso home run, the only hit of the ball game thus far. Yoshi against Reynolds. Reds start the day a game and a half back of Houston. To short. Walt Weiss takes the big hop and throws Pokey Pokey out. There's one away. Time for our Aflac trivia question of the night. Who is the only player with switch hit home runs in one game as a Red? Who is the only player who has hit home runs from each side of the plate in the same game as a Cincinnati Red? We'll have that answer coming up for you. Who is the only 30-30 shortstop? 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases in the National League. It's this guy, Barry Larkin. Barry a long way from 30 home runs this year. In fact, has not hit one in 62 games. His last one was back on the 21st of June. And really, as we head into September, that's not that important. What the Reds need him to do, especially in this 2 spot in the order, is do what he did in the 2nd inning. Line drive to center that knocked in the Reds' 4th run. And you can see as they pitch Barry away, he's adjusted. Most of his hits of late have come center field to right. Hey, Mets in the 2nd. Darrell Hamilton a home run, his 7th of the year. 2-0 over the Astros. This is one of those nights where the Braves are rooting for the Astros. The Reds are rooting for the Mets. And obviously the Mets are rooting for the Reds. As the Mets start the day 3.5 back. There's another line drive to right by Barry. Larkin's 2 for 3. Our Aflac trivia answer: the only player with switch hit homers in one game as a Red, it is number 14. Pete did it twice in 1966 on this date, as a matter of fact, August the 30th, and in 67 on August the 2nd. Sean Casey to the plate. Dmitri Young has switch hit doubles in a game as a Red, not home runs yet, and you figure he will before his career is over. Down and away. Glavin got Casey to bounce to 2nd in the 1st, and then a fly ball to center to end the 2nd. Among those in attendance tonight, the Sean Casey Fan Club. Bunch of tickets. And don't you think he'd like to send him home with a smile? 1-1 to Case. Thing you can consistently say during the 90s, Chris, that this Atlanta pitching staff has pitched the best hitters in the league better than any other staff. Not just because they have good pitchers, but they have year in and year out a good plan against the best hitters.
Well, they've got a good plan, but they've also got the control on that pitching staff, control of the pitches, that is, to be able to pitch to a scouting report. So when it says in a fastball situation, throw this guy an off-speed pitch and keep it down, guys like Glavin and Maddox can do that. Smoltz you can throw in that category too. For a power pitcher, he's got amazing numbers when it comes to strikeout to walk ratio.
That's uncharted territory for Maddox and Glavin there. 200 hits in a year. They never give up that many. Fouled off by Casey. 2-2. Example of the ability to pitch big hitters was this weekend. They blanked Mark McGwire. No home runs from McGwire. And all you need to do is go back to 95 and see the way they pitched the Reds. Ron Gant, who was the key to the Reds offense that year.
About Reggie Sanders.
And Reggie too. Game plan's one thing, the ability to execute it is something else. They've got the complete package. 2-2 count even now. Larkin peers at Glavin. He's not going. Hit pretty good to left. Does it have enough? Going back. It's going to be gone. Number 21 for Casey. Now the Braves had closed it to 1. Larkin Larkin crosses the plate, and here comes Sean. Here's a present for the Sean Casey fan club. It's now 6-3 Cincinnati.
This looks like a completely different Reds ball club playing here at Synergy Field in this series so far against the Braves than they did down in Atlanta. They looked intimidated. They looked scared. They were very timid. But coming out against Tommy Glavin tonight, swinging the bats the way that we've seen them swing the bats more often than not this year. And Sean Casey going oppage for his 21st.
And Casey with that home run now takes the run batted in lead away from Greg Vaughn. Vaughn's RBI in the first had given him a lead 81-80. Now it's 82-81. Casey has the lead. That home run by Case means another $100 to the United Way from each of our Home Run Derby sponsors. Yeah, it felt good.
What do you think?
Outside to Vaughn, 3-1. Now behind 3-1, they get him shuffling into the bullpen for the Braves. Bruce Chen, the young left-hander who was projected as a starter in this rotation but lost that job to Dallas Perez in spring training, is back up from AAA and starting to loosen. Up and in, ball 4.
Well, the troubles continued for Tommy Glavin. That's base on balls number 5 on the night for him. He's given up 6 runs already and thrown a whole lot of pitches in doing it. 96 pitches on the night. Here we are only in the bottom of the 4th inning. So Glavin usually much more efficient with his pitches. He's not a guy that will sit back and strike out 12 or 13 a game. His idea is to get you to hit the ball. Well, not hit it squarely like Sean Casey does right here. Boy, that's a good swing right there. Really works off his front side, inside outs it, and plenty enough to get it over that wall. Glavin had hoped that ball would maybe bounce off the wall and come back to his left fielder Gerald Williams, but Casey will touch them all.
Significance of the home run isn't just number 21, which matches the number on his back, but it again was towards left center field. When Casey's going his best, that's where he punishes the ball, the left center field and the left field. And he's gotten back in that track. He hit that a ton to left center, and the Reds now have a 6-3 lead. On, and here's Dimitri, 1 for 2. Vaughn's been on all 3 times, 2 singles and a walk. At Houston, 2nd inning, Ricky Henderson singled in Roger Cedeno. In the top of the 2nd, it's now 3-0 Mets over the Astros. A strike, 1-1. Right field, it'll hang up there though with 1 out. Camped under it is Jordan, and there's 2 away. That'll bring up Aaron Boone, who's walked twice. Not often the Reds have done much against this left-hander. 14-2 in his career here at Cincinnati, and he's won 21 overall against the Reds. First pitch swing, and Boone pops it up. But lifetime, he's won 21 times against Cincinnati. So Glavin unable to get it done tonight, and Ozzie Guillen will take over for him. Guillen, Randall Simon, Myers, Klesko, and Lockhart, all left-handed bats off the bench for Bobby Cox tonight, the only right-hander. The only other batter is Jose Hernandez, available to pinch hit. Guillen will take it inside for a ball. Here's Ozzie out of Venezuela. Wearing that number 13 in honor of Davy Concepcion. He grew up idolizing Concepcion, and now the youngsters idolize Ozzie. A great leader of his country. Works the winter with kids, plays some winter baseball, and spends a good portion of his year donating time, effort, and money to his native land. Braves are going to have a serious decision to make if they make the postseason. Ian pops it up, Boone under it. Right now they've got Ozzie Guillen, Walt Weiss, and Hernandez, each of whom has played short. Hernandez really the regular shortstop now. And probably two of those will make the postseason roster. Who would be the odd man out? A lot of baseball left, but it'll be a decision if the Braves make the postseason that they'll have to make. So Boone snares that. There's one away. Back to the top of the order, Gerald Williams. How about this? Mets put 6 on the board in the second inning, lead the Astros 7-0. 2-run home run by Mike Piazza, his 32nd.
Boy, does he come alive.
And Olerud doubled in another run. Right to Larkin, 2 away. They're just putting that up on the scoreboard now, and you can hear the rumbling of the fans, and obviously the Reds dugout sees that too. So it's 7-0 Mets in the second inning. Shane Reynolds, who is cruising through the '99 season, has lost 3 in a row, and now 7-0. Masato Yoshii has the lead against Reynolds. Here's Brett Boone. Fly to center, grounded to short. You talk about the trials and tribulations of a year, and Chris, you mentioned the 100 plus that Aaron Boone hit in May. And Brett hit 156 in June, so both brothers got the same virus about the same time of the year, but Brett has turned that around and now gotten his average back up to the 250s. The Boone brothers, and there's another one coming, Matthew, who's in the minors with Detroit. You don't want to say could be, but Matthew may be the best of the 3.
That would be saying something. I'm not so sure Aaron Boone has even scratched the surface of what kind of player he can be somewhere down the road.
Popped high in the air to left. Vaughn under it. Got it. That'll do it. So Neagle settles down a 1-2-3 fifth. Here we go to the bottom of 5. Hammonds, Laroo, and Neagle. And they head to Philadelphia. Here's the new pitcher.
And a pretty good young pitcher he is. Another left-hander. First Tommy Glavin, the left-hander. He only goes 4 innings. Throws 99 pitches and gives up 6 runs on 8 hits. Bruce Chen in game number 10. He's the youngster that progressed so quickly through the farm system that it enabled the Atlanta Braves to trade away Denny Neagle for Brett Boone. He was expected to win the starting job, or one of the starting jobs in the rotation. Aced out of that by Odalis Perez, and now he is in the bullpen. Has not pitched since August the 19th, but all the numbers that he follows him throughout the minor leagues indicates that he'll be some kind of pretty good pitcher when he gets some experience at this level.
If you have half a brain in your young pitcher coming up in Atlanta, and you got Tom Glavin, Greg Maddux sitting there with you day after day, and John Smoltz too, and Neagle when he was there, you got to learn something from him, man. If you're smart, you do it. Odalis Perez really exhibited the ability to do that, and Chen, they hope will do the same. There's a leadoff walk to Hammonds. Jeffrey earlier homered his 12th of the year to give the Reds a 3-0 lead, then hit one to the warning track in center. So he's on for the second time, and here's the catcher, Jason Laroo. Boomer's products to fight cystic fibrosis, award-winning barbecue sauce and salsa. Your purchase provides a donation to the Boomer Esiason Foundation to find a cure for cystic fibrosis.
only 22 years old. This year in Richmond, AAA for the Atlanta Braves, he was 6-3. He struck out 87 in 74 innings.
Could it be? It is. Welcome to the club, Jason Laroo. Talk about punishing. Laroo gets his second home run. And boy, this has hit a ton too. A 2-run shot. Put 2 more on the board. It's 8-3 Cincinnati. And that home run means another $100 to the United Way from each of our Home Run Derby sponsors.
Dugout right there. That number 2 home run for Jason Laroo, and boy, did it feel good. You got to figure that Laroo had faced Chen before in the minor leagues. Both of them playing in the International League.
Well, looking for new energy, Chris. The Reds so far in this ball game have found it. They're beating a team that they've had trouble scratching for a run for all year long. 0-6 coming in, and those smiles tell you the story of the way they feel about themselves right now.
Well, you know, it's so important. We talked about it in the pregame, George, about how important it was for this ball club to go out and do something on the field positive against the Braves. Not just talk about it, not just worry about it when the game finally began. And this kind of a game like this, if the Reds can hold on and if they can continue to be aggressive, can go a long way to help your confidence when you play against a team like the Braves, who ordinarily intimidate other ball clubs. Look at the Braves record against the other first place teams in the league and include the Reds in that category. They are 20-5. So the Reds aren't the only good ball club that have had their problems with the Braves.
They're 6-1 against Houston and 6-0 against the Reds in that Central Division. One of the Braves players today before the game said he still thinks the Reds will win in the Central Division, but he said it's key for them to win 1. If they win 2, they feel real good about themselves in this series. But he saw the same thing that we saw in that other dugout when we were in Atlanta, Chris, and that was that he didn't think that the Reds thought they could beat the Braves. They need to show that.
Yeah, there always seems to be a team like that. That's the home run swing by Jason Laroo. It's up in the strike zone. This is the kind of swing that the coaching staff remembers Jason Laroo had in spring training. And they said, hey, you know, when we brought him up from Indianapolis the first time, he just didn't show that same aggressiveness, the same snap in the swing, almost like he was tentative up there. And then towards the end of his stay here in Cincinnati, he began to feel more comfortable, be more aggressive, and showed that kind of stuff. This time back again, you can tell by that look and that swing, he is right on the ball.
Dennis Menke, the hitting instructor, has made him a personal project. It started in spring training and continued, and you see the job that he's done with Pokey Reese and his average at 284, and similar story for Jason Laroo. There's Brett Tomko feeling his muscles. So where did that come from? That's about one of the few times Brett Tomko has smiled today, because before the game today, Tomko was told by Don Gullett that he was being bumped from the rotation in favor of Steve Paris, who's back from Indianapolis after tomorrow. So Tomko's going to have to work his way back into the rotation.
Well, bumped temporarily anyway, because Tomko will be forced back into the rotation when the Reds go into Chicago to play that doubleheader. He'll pitch on Tuesday instead of Friday.
Which means from now through the Philadelphia series, he'll be in the bullpen if needed. Pop up. Here's Larkin. Barry advanced the runner with a ground ball to the right side in the first. Singled in a run in the second. Singled and scored ahead of Casey's home run in the fourth. Home run baseball for the Reds. Hammonds in the second, his 12th of the year. Casey in the fourth, his 21st of the year, and Laroo his second of the year here in the fifth. Breaking ball outside for ball 1, 1-1. That breaking ball slips out of his hands, and it's 2-1. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, being brought to you by your local Mercury dealers. Imagine yourself in a Mercury now. Three and one. Well, now top of 3 at the Astrodome in Houston. The Astros retired in the bottom of 2. The Mets retired in the top of 3. Going to the bottom of the 3rd, 7-0. Mets over the Astros. Remember, the Mets and the Braves have series against each other. They play each other home and away in the span of 10 days. The last 2 weeks of the season. The Reds have only 2 games against Houston. They'll be in Houston. Swing and a miss. The Larkin's retired, but the Reds do some more business. A walk to Hammonds, a homer by Laroo. 8-3 Cincinnati. Jones, Jordan, and Andrew Jones due up in the 6th. They've taken their starters and put them on a pitch count and gotten them ready for the postseason. This year it appears that they'll be in a pennant race for at least the start of the month of September. And there are 2 different sides of it, Chris. You've been on clubs that have had both sides of it, and some would rather be in a race to get yourself geared up and tweaked up a bit as you head to a postseason showdown.
Yeah, I've never been on a team that has run away with it, that's for sure, but I've been on a team that has been in the race, and it does keep you on edge. It doesn't allow the manager to set up things the way you'd obviously like to, but I think what it does do is gives your players the the habit of playing every game important. Because it's so hard sometimes to turn it on and turn it off. When you need it there in October, when it all is on the line in postseason, sometimes you look for the switch, you can't find it. But if you've played in a pennant race all the month of September, sometimes it's easier to stay in that groove. Those are the words that were echoed by Chipper Jones when he's talked about it.
Jordan to left, 1 hop over the head of Vaughn. And he'll cruise into second with a double. Brian Jordan has a 2-base hit. 1 out and 1 on, and here comes Andrew Jones.
Second consecutive line drive that Brian Jordan has laid out off of Denny Neagle. Short swing, well under control. Keeps his weight back nicely. Really drives off that front leg.
Over Vaughn's head. And Jordan's in scoring position with the Reds leading by 5, 8-3.
I don't know if you saw the interview with Greg Maddux last night, but he was quoted as saying, he said that, yeah, we watch the scoreboard now. We want to find out what the Mets are doing. Used to be we wanted to find out what time the card game began. That's how they usually cruise through the month of September.
That doesn't mean they still don't play cards. Just means that they're still watching.
And it may have something to do with, say, the Cleveland Indians and their inability to get it done in crunch time when they absolutely have to in the World Series, because they pretty much blow away the competition all summer long and don't have much to play for in September. Hard to find that switch.
Here's Andrew. Bounced to third, first time up. Homered. His 15th home run against the Reds in his young career, and the 25th of this year. It was a 2-run shot that followed a hit by Jordan in the 4th inning. Well, you know about the Reds' history in the last 2 games where Tomko and Harnish had 4- and 5-run leads and saw it evaporate fast in the 5th inning. Well, here in the 6th, with a hard hit ball to left field, Jack McKee and Don Gullett aren't wasting any time. They're getting Scott Sullivan up. What really surprised Gullett and McKeon were how rapidly Tomko and Harnish lost it when they lost it in those 5th innings. Boom, boom, boom.
Especially Pete Harnish, because he had a no-hitter through the first 4. I mean, he looked almost unhittable. Not that he had no-hit stuff that day, but it just didn't look like the Expos were on him. All of a sudden, they got on him. They couldn't get anybody hot enough in time. The day before that, they went through the bullpen very quickly when Brett Tomko deteriorated. In fact, so quickly that Scott Sullivan really didn't get enough pitches down in the bullpen to warm up.
That's ball 4 to Andrew Jones. So now with 1 out, a double and a walk, and here comes Brian Hunter. Just in case you saw the right-hander Cortez loosening in the bullpen, the pitcher due up 5th this inning for Atlanta. Here's Brian Hunter. Hunter today 0 for 2 against Neagle 3 for 10 prior to today in his career. Down and in. Nice job by Laroo, because that gets by, and it's second and third with one out. No chance for the double play. Neagle has already thrown one wild pitch that eliminated a double play possibility.
Well, Neagle will keep you on your toes if you're a catcher. He's thrown a number of these tonight that Laroo's had to move quite a bit to go get. But Laroo behind the plate, very mobile catcher.
Reds looking for 2 middle of the infield. Hopped up. It'll be out of play. Hunter, a former Cincinnati Red, split time at first and comes in at a 2:36 mark. He has hit into 7 double plays and only 130 at bats. Look out, hit hard, but foul. Not where he wanted that changeup, up and in his eyes, and Hunter rips it down the line.
The line so far on Denny Neagle. The other line to keep in mind is the number of ground balls versus fly balls. Now, Denny Neagle normally a fly ball pitcher, yes, so you're thinking about a ground ball in a situation like that. It's tough for him sometimes to get that. He's got 12 outs by fly balls and only 3 outs tonight by ground balls.
Here's the 1-2. Nub foul, and it stays at a ball on 2 strikes. Final in the American League, Seattle beat the White Sox 5-2 in the 5th. Boston leads Kansas City 6-1. Anaheim over the Indians 5-4 in the 6th. Seattle and the White Sox game 2 just getting underway now. Texas and Detroit they've started, and they're now in the 7th, scoreless. And Toronto leading Minnesota 2-1 in the 8th.
There was the attempt at getting a ground ball from Brian Hunter. It was a changeup following a fastball inside. Hunter does a nice job in staying inside of it and fouls it straight back.
Always great offensive potential in Brian Hunter.
Scouting report on Brian Hunter, having seen him over here in a Reds uniform. He is a very good fastball hitter, especially fastballs that are up in the zone. Tries to check his swing. Did he go? No, says the first base umpire, Gibbons. You judge for yourself. Looked like a good call. Oakland leading the Yankees 2-0 now in the top of 5 at Yankee Stadium. There it is. Larkin, Reese. Yes. The 114th double play for the Reds. Neagle got what he wanted. Hunter bangs into his 8th double play of the year. Can't get to the ballpark to enjoy the Eastern Division leading Atlanta Ball Club. Tune us in. Here's Sean Casey. Ground out, fly ball out. Then his 21st home run gave the Reds a 6-3 lead. Casey, Vaughn, and Dimitri Young do up. Nub to short. Walter Weiss throws Sean out. Casey's 1 for 4. Another look at the double play. Reese and Larkin. Boy, this double play, remember Andrew Jones bearing down on Pokey Reese right here. Reese gets out of the way and really gets a chance to show off his arm as he turns it. One of the quickest guys on the Atlanta roster. I mean, he takes no prisoners when he heads into second base, but Pokey Reese avoids contact, and boy, he really got to show off that gun of his.
There isn't a second baseman in the game that has a stronger arm than Pokey.
There may not be a shortstop that has a stronger arm than Pokey.
And you go back to spring training, and Pokey making the transition after Brett Boone was traded to the Braves, and Billy Doran spent a lot of time with Pokey in spring training. thing Pokey was most concerned about was making the double play and the proper footwork. And Billy Doran told him from the beginning, look, you are not a second baseman. You're a shortstop that happens to be playing second. You got a shortstop arm, so use it that way. Don't try to do what Brett Boone would do or what I would used to do. You do what's comfortable for you and use your arm. If it means just a short back step and a flat-footed throw, use it. Do what's comfortable, and we've seen it all year long. He's been very comfortable there. And for a first-year second baseman, boy, that's something.
He's had some pretty good tutors. Billy Doran, you mentioned, of course, Ronnie Oster, a very fine second baseman in his own right when he wore a red uniform. He's helped the comfort level of Pokey as he goes along. You know, it's interesting, though, George, we were waiting and waiting and waiting in spring training. There weren't all that many opportunities for Pokey to turn it. Not that the Reds pitchers are so good there weren't anybody on first base, but you know, we did not see him turn that many in spring training, so we really kind of left Sarasota thinking, well, he's going to be all right, but we still don't know for sure.
Well, everybody in baseball knows now, huh?
You bet.
Brett Boone again behind second base with Vaughn at the plate. Vaughn tonight, single to right, single to center, and a walk. This time Chen gets him. Vaughn's retired. That's the third strikeout for Bruce Chen, and there's 2 away. And the Reds and Biggs team up to present the Biggs kids run on it. Here's Dimitri. Strikeout, single, and a fly ball to right. You don't believe where I am. Hello.
He needs a call for a wake-up call.
Probably not even a real phone. Speaking of folks that are sitting and watching behind home plate, Dimitri, Perez, and the umpire. There's the ground ball, the chipper in the dirt, and they call him out. It looked like Hunter took his foot off the bag, but Dimitri will be called out, and the Reds go 1-2-3 for the youngster. May be sleeping through his or her first major league game, but I'll tell you, the Mets sure aren't sleeping through their ball game. Edgardo Alfonso has homered again, 2 in the ball game. That came with 1 out in the 4th inning off Brian Williams. It scored Ricky Henderson. Mets 9, Houston nothing at the Astrodome. As we go to the top of the 7th inning, Michael Tucker has entered the game in right field for the Reds. So it's Tucker in right, Hammonds in center, Vaughn in left. Boone, Larkin, Reese, Casey across the infield. Laroo catching Denny Neagle, who's allowed 3 runs on 4 hits. So for the Mets now, 9 runs, 9 hits. The Astros have only 1 hit off Masato Yoshi. Yoshi pitched well against the Astros just last week, and he's duplicating it tonight. Perez towards the alley. This will roll all the way to the wall, and he'll have a 2-base hit. That'll hustle him up in the bullpen for Cincinnati. Scott Williamson, rather Scott Sullivan, who was up last inning, will get up again to loosen.
Well, the Braves have hit the ball pretty hard against Denny Neagle in the last few innings. It started back in the 4th inning when they gave up a base hit, a home run, and a couple of shots that were caught on the run by the outfielders. Last inning, he pitched out of a tough situation with a double play ball out of Brian Hunter, and now he leads it off with a double. So Jack McKeon taking no chances. He's going to have at least one guy hot and ready to go in case Neagle starts to spiral quickly.
Here's Walter Weiss. Hit his 2nd home run of the year in the 3rd. That was the first run allowed and the first hit given up by Neagle. That led off the 3rd inning. 2nd time up, he lined out to center. Weiss hitting 8th in the order. Pitcher slot to follow, and Jose Hernandez has moved into the on-deck circle. Two-bagger by Perez. No outs. David Cortez up and loosening in the Braves bullpen. Smack down the middle, 1-2. Tomorrow, Juan Guzman, 4-1 against Greg Maddux, 16-6. Guzman did pitch against the Braves and pitched well against them in the series in Atlanta for Baltimore.
In fact, he shut him out in the ball game that he pitched in Atlanta. And last year, when those two hooked up, Greg Maddux and Juan Guzman, the game lasted an hour and 45 minutes. Guzman got the worst of it, but it was only a 1-0 loss to Greg Maddux. Says it's the fastest game he's ever been in. And they each struck out double-digit hitters.
2-2 to Weiss. Wednesday's pitching matchup, Ron Vaughn against Terry Mulholland.
You know, George, we talk about how important a series is, and then inside that series, how important the first game is. And, you know, you really say that because it may sound funny, because you want to win that first game so you guarantee yourself not to get swept. And of course, when you play the Braves, you almost want to whisper that, because you know it can be a reality, because the Reds obviously swept 2 times in 2 previous series against the Braves. That's why it was so important that the Reds came out and be aggressive tonight. Could be a late arrival into Cincinnati by the Braves last night from St. Louis. They didn't get into the hotel till about 3 a.m. But Reds came out swinging the bats big time against the best pitcher that the Braves could muster in Cincinnati. 14-2 coming in. Glavin had some pretty good credentials.
Here's Jose Hernandez pinch hitting for Chen. That's inside for a ball. Hernandez 271, 18 home runs and 58 runs batted in. Hernandez and Terry Mulholland each came over from the Chicago Cubs right before the July 31st trading deadline. And Hernandez has settled in as, on most days, the everyday shortstop. Mulholland has moved right into the rotation. So it was more than just a complimentary trade. It's a trade that's produced 2 frontline players for the Braves during this injury-marred season. Very versatile. Play the outfield or the infield. He'll make good contact, but boy, he can strike out a lot. He's been either 1, 2, or 3 in strikeouts in the league all year. One ball, 2 strikes. Neagle hung, looking for the call, doesn't get it.
Looked like one of those curveballs that the umpire will say went around the plate. Pretty good break on that one.
There it is, the 126th strikeout of Jose Hernandez this year. Time for our Geico Direct moment. Hitting is timing and pitching is upsetting timing. And you know who that's from. Spani, the winningest left-hander ever. 363 career victories for the former Boston, Milwaukee, and Atlanta Brave. He was inducted in Atlanta just last week in their Hall of Fame. Gerald Williams to center. Hammonds will have it. Squeezes it. That'll do it. So the leadoff double by Eddie Perez. Neagle finds a way to dodge that bullet, and he takes a 5-run lead to the bottom of the 7th inning.
Reds fans, stay on top of what's going on with your team on Fox.
Cats to end the top of the 7th inning, and this is the number for him. 7 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 2 home runs allowed. The 2 home runs for the Reds, 3 for the Reds rather. Hammonds, Casey, and Laroo each have homered in this one. Barry Larkin, 2 more hits, a run batted in, and a stolen base. Greg Vaughn started it off with a run-scoring hit in the first. He's been on base 3 times. Add it all up, the Reds 8 runs, 9 hits, no errors. The Braves 3 runs, 5 hits, and no errors as we go to the bottom of 7th.
new pitcher down in the bullpen for a couple of innings, David Cortez, and what you're looking at is David's debut. Just purchased the other night on Monday from AAA Richmond. He was 2-3 down there at 22 saves, 42 strikeouts in 45 innings. International Player of the Week back in May. Selected play in the AAA All-Star game, and here he is throwing his first big league pitch for the Braves.
Aaron Boone pops it up. It's a mile in the air. Walter Weiss under it. Got it, and there's one away. Boone walked twice and popped up twice. Randall Simon is your first baseman, so it's Simon at first, Boone at second, Walt Weiss at short, Chipper Jones at third. Gerald Williams, Andrew Jones, and Brian Jordan in the outfield. Here's Jeffrey Hammonds. Hammonds hit his 12th home run after Boone walked in the second. That gave the Reds a 3-0 lead. He flied to center and then walked his last time up. That walk came right before the home run by Jason Laroo. Here's our Ohio Lottery instant replay. A drill of a shot. Boy, it got out fast to center field. Number 12 for Hammonds, and it was 3-0 Cincinnati. That drifts inside for a ball, and it's 3-0. The umpiring crew has just warned Cortez about going to his mouth.
There's no warning
with
there.
3 balls, that'll be the 4th ball. They're calling a ball on it, and that'll give Hammonds the free pass to first base. Hammonds wants to swing the bat. After you homer, you don't want to get a free pass.
He's hitting the ball pretty good, seeing it even better.
Now, Bobby Cox, who was ejected last night for the 9th time this year, all he can do is shake his head.
No, he can do more than shake his head. He can put his hands over his mouth and yell a few things out to first base. He had a legitimate beef last night. He argued about a check swing on Mark McGuire. Ed Montague, the umpire at first base, said McGuire didn't go. Montague in a tough situation in that particular spot. But he didn't wait long to run Bobby.
One report had him being ejected 10 times this year, another 9 times. I asked him before the game. He said, you know, I just lost track. He says, I don't know. He said, I don't know whether it's me or the umpires, but I've been beefing a lot this year, haven't I?
Check the checkbook.
It gets away. Hammonds will go to second. Boone there. He's going to try for third. Here comes Boone's throw. Not in time. Now, the one thing the Braves have done in multitudes in this 10-game win streak is do all the little things. You mentioned last night, Chris, they executed a potential squeeze bunt perfectly on the defensive side. It snuffed out what could have been the winning run. And here, this not only is a bad throw, but it's fielded poorly by Simon. And the Reds have a runner at third with 1 out instead of a runner at first and a chance for a double play to end the inning.
It was a really light toss over there, just not even to try to pick him off, just to toss him back.
2 balls, no strikes to Jason Laroo. Base hit. Hammonds will score easily. How about a night for Jason Laroo? A single, a double, a home run. 3 runs batted in. And the young man just back up from Indianapolis, making a stamp on this night. 9-3 Cincinnati.
Nice swing by Jason Laroo on the breaking ball right there. Stays with it nicely. Picks himself up an RBI. Figured that down in Indianapolis, he faced also David Cortez a few times, since Cortez was the closer for their rival Richmond.
So Nagle's night will be done as Mark Lewis will pinch hit for him here in the 7th inning. That'll get away, and going to second is Laroo. I tell you, yes, you're losing a game, but if there's anything that will infuriate Bobby Cox is when you start making mistakes playing
sloppy
bad baseball. I mean, he didn't mind losing a ball game, especially after you win 10 in a row. But what he's seeing right now, he does not like one bit.
Definitely not the Braves' way.
And when you have something rolling, you don't want the tracks to go off, the train to go off the tracks. The Reds are trying to do exactly that here. 9-3 Cincinnati. And during this 10-game winning streak for Atlanta, it's been the bullpen more than the starters that have come up big. The bullpen has been credited with 6 of the 10 victories. In fact, the series in St. Louis had just concluded. They were all one-run games, 1 run either way, one team leading the other. Lewis sends it to center field. Andrew Jones there. He has it. There's your second out. Hey, you can swing for the fences the next time you're at Synergy Field with the Fairfield Communities Power Home Run Derby. Visit this virtual reality batting cage at Gate 9 on the plaza level and experience the feeling of real pitch baseballs. Come to the ballpark for a Reds game, knock one out of the park at the Fairfield Communities Power Home Run Derby. In Atlanta at Turner Field, they have a virtual reality area. The Reds have put together, John Allen has little by little tried to put together some bits and pieces of that here at Synergy Field, and the hope is there'll be more in the new ballpark. And by the way, if you have a chance this week, the final installment will be tomorrow. The Cincinnati Enquirers had a 3-part series on some of the new ballparks and what the Reds should expect and should try to institute in their search for a new ballpark. It's worth reading. Line drive, Chipper has it. The Pokey Reese lines out. Pokey 0 for 4 and a walk and a run scored, but the important numbers are on the board. 9-3 Cincinnati. We head to the top of the 8th. Brett Boone to lead it off.
Time 2.73 earned run average. He's 4 and 3 on the year. 92 and a third innings for Scott. Last year he pitched 102 innings. The year before that, 1997, he pitched 97 and a third innings. He's been over the 90 mark the last 3 years, and he's on his way to getting to innings number 100 here pretty soon.
So number 56 takes over for Denny Neagle. The Reds needed a big performance, and they got it from their left-hander, the former Brave. 7 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs. The damage to him. Of those 5 hits, 2 are home runs. Walt Weiss, a leadoff home run in the 3rd. And Andrew Jones, what else is new? Another home run against the Reds, the 15th of his career, 25th of the year, a 2-run shot. So the bullpen will try to keep it where it is. Boone to center. Jeffrey Hammonds there. 1 away in the 8th. Time for Ohio Lottery results on the late draw tonight. Pick 3, 710, 710. Pick 4, 5126, 5126. Buckeye 5, 269, 1126, 269, 1126. Hope you had a winner tonight in the Ohio Lottery. Here's Chipper Jones, walk and 2 pop-outs, 0 for 2. We started the day talking about during this 10-game win streak for the Braves. Number 10, Chipper Jones, has come up big. And he's the guy in this lineup that you don't want to beat you. He beat the Cardinals last night in the 12th inning with a home run. So far tonight, the Reds have been successful in doing that. Braves during the 10-game win streak won 6 games and had an earned run average of under 2. The Reds, even though they've had some blips on the screen in the last week, still lead the major leagues with 30 wins, lead the major leagues with an ERA of 2.97, and lead the major leagues with an opponent's batting average of 214. You hope, Chris, that as the starters have gone deeper into games since Neagle came back and they've gotten the boost of Guzman, that the bit of a breather that the Reds relievers have had for the last 3 weeks or so will pay off in September.
You want to make sure you get enough activity as a reliever to stay sharp, but not so much that you get burned out. And of course, back in April, May, and June, when the starters are only going 3, 4, 5 innings at a clip, you're really worried about when this relievers were going to hit the wall, and they would hit it collectively because so many of them were burdening so many innings. But now the starters, you're right, George, have done well. Nice pitch by Scott Sullivan right there, indicative of him being still very sharp.
He sends Chipper back to the dugout. First strikeout. Yep, the Reds have him out today.
Down in front.
Those are your tickets.
My tickets are sitting behind him and I can't see the game.
Here's Brian Jordan, 2 for 3 and a strikeout. Hey, time to fire up those grills with the delicious taste of JTM's new Griller's Choice Beef or Italian sausage patties, or JTM's hamburgers and boneless pork ribs. The brand you can count on, JTM.
Sullivan, numbers on him, breaking down left-handers versus Scott, right-handers. Right-handers are 171, left-handers about 240. Brian Jordan. About 1,000.
3 hits tonight, 3 for 3 and a walk and a strikeout. So 3 for 4 for Jordan. His last 3 times up, single to left, double to left, and this single to center.
That'll get Brian Jordan talking to Sean Casey down to first base. Probably trying to find out where Scott Sullivan got that haircut. Scott got that new do done for him up in Montreal by his good buddy Stan Belinda.
They went to the same place they shear the sheep.
No, they went to in the clubhouse, and Stan grabbed the razor, and according to Scott, butchered him up pretty good. Mike Cameron had to come to the rescue. And I thought Barry Larkin was the clubhouse barber.
Well, if the Reds start turning things around, that haircut may be the haircut of the future.
That's the low maintenance variety right there.
How do you think Jesse Jackson will look at that? Jesse shaking his head no already. Now top of 5 in the Astrodome, 9-0 Mets. Brian Williams in pitching for the Astros. Shane Reynolds' day is done. 9 runs, 9 hits for the Mets. No runs, 2 hits for the Astros. Off Masato Yoshii. Ryan Klesko's moved into the on-deck circle. Andrew Jones, the latest in a fine line of great outfielders for Boston, Milwaukee, and the Atlanta franchise. Braves have had Gold Glovers out there over the years. Henry Aaron in 58 and 260. Marquise Grissom. Andrew Jones in that same run right now. And of course Dale Murphy too, the catcher turned outfielder. Another Rawlings Gold Glove winner. One of 4 that have played the outfield for the Braves and won a Gold Glove. Three balls, 1 strike with 2 outs. Nub to the right side. Pokey calling. He has it. That'll do it. Fly ball, strikeout, single, and a pop out. Andrew Jones will go back to center field. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Here we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Cincinnati 9 runs, 10 hits, and no errors. 3-6-1 for the Atlanta Braves. Barry Larkin advanced Reese from second to third with a ground ball to the right side in the first. Singled in a run to make it 4-0 in the second. Singled and scored in the fourth ahead of the home run by Casey, and he struck out in the 5th. Breaking ball is outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. 5th inning, New York 9, Houston 0. 5th inning, Florida leads St. Louis 4-1. Pittsburgh 2, Colorado 0 in the second. Montreal at Arizona, Chicago at San Diego, Philadelphia, San Francisco. Hey, congratulations to the former Reds farmhand, Buddy Carlisle. What a great major league debut yesterday. 7 innings, 4 hits, had a no-hitter working. Did get credit for a victory as he had to exit the game, but he also got his first major league hit. A lot of the Reds farmhands wishing him good luck with the San Diego Padres. He, of course, was traded to the Padres from the Reds for Mark Kroon.
Mark Kroon, that's right. Hard throwing right-hander that I guess he's in parts unknown right now.
He might have been sitting in the stands in San Diego.
Could have been. Carlisle, they're very high on him. Kevin Towers, you know, they acknowledge that he's not the hardest thrower out there, 88 to 89 miles an hour, but boy, he's quite a bulldog according to the scouting reports that I've read, and has come up further through that organization very quickly.
The youngest starting pitcher to debut at the major league level in over 20 years for the San Diego Padres. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Larkin. Line drive, right field. Here comes Jordan, and he robs Barry of a hit. Well, Bryant had inched in a little bit the last 2 at bats, and he was close enough to rob Larkin of that hit. Good reaction by Jordan, seeing the way Larkin was swinging the bat tonight.
It really is. Good instincts out there by Jordan, knowing when to come in, but you still have to react at the crack of the bat, and he's right there on it.
Let's go back to the 4th inning. Close ball game, 4-3. Up comes Casey.
Well, it makes his dad, who's in attendance tonight, very happy watching that ball opposite field home run near the 375 mark. That was good for 2 Reds runs and a couple of special handshakes.
That made it 6-3. And the Reds now lead at 9-3. Ripped towards the alley by Casey. Jordan will cut it off. Sean will have a base hit. Well, the ball's starting to fly off the bat again. The good sign, the home run to left center, and then turns on this one, a bullet to right. Sean Casey, 2 more hits tonight. 2 for 5, and the Reds have a runner on first.
Getting pitches that he can handle tonight, Sean Casey is. This one, more of the low variety, down below the knees and really out over the plate. He decides to pull that baby.
So Casey's on with 1 out, and here's Greg Vaughn. Vaughn got the Reds started. Single to right to knock in Pokey Reese, who had walked, stole second, went to third on Larkin's ground ball. Reds led it 1-0. In the 3rd, he singled. In the 4th, he walked, and in the 6th, he struck out. Michael Tucker on deck for the Reds. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by the new Dodge. Stop by and see the winning lineup of cars, trucks, minivans, and SUVs at the friendly Dodge dealer near you. Loosening in the bullpen for Cincinnati. No one throwing for the Braves. Cortez, the man, for these last 2 innings with Atlanta trailing by 6. If you joined us late, Tom Glavin started. Well, he's had a magic wand against the Reds throughout his career, but not on this day. 14-2 here in Cincinnati at Riverfront Synergy Field prior to today, and 21 wins overall. But on this day, Reds got him early. 4 runs, 4 innings, 8 hits and 6 runs. Last time he lost to the Reds was here in September of '96, when he went 4 innings, allowed 9 hits and 8 runs. So it was a similar kind of ball game for Glavin. The uncharacteristic number, the number of walks that Glavin issued, 5 of them in his 4 innings of work. Glavin tonight, Maddox tomorrow. Greg Maddox against Juan Guzman. We're on the air at 7 on Fox Sports Net Ohio. Wednesday, Ron Ballone against Terry Mulholland. A couple of left-handers go at each other. We're on the air at 7:30 on Fox Sports Net Ohio. Vaughn hangs in again, fouling another ball off. It's 3-2. Second out of the inning. Hey, all aboard the 16th annual All-Star Baseball Cruise and Reunion on this exciting baseball getaway. To reserve your spot on the All-Star Baseball Cruise and Reunion, call Provident Travel 1-800-543-2120, or locally it's 763-8800. Here's Michael Tucker, who came in defensively for Dimitri Young. Dimitri 1 for 3, a single. Tucker up for the first time. Mets have added another run, 10-0 over Houston. Bottom of 5 at the Astrodome. Yoshi still in control. Edgardo Alfonso's homered twice, 21 and 22. Darrell Hamilton has hit his 7th, and Mike Piazza's hit a 2-run shot as well. Also in that game, Roger Cedeno stole his 59th base. That bested by 1 the Met record that Mookie Wilson set back in 1982. 1-2 to Tucker. At St. Louis, Marlins 2 in the first, 2 in the third, leading the Cardinals 4-1. Nunez against Bottenfield. Kent's looking for his 17th tonight. Pirates get 1 in the first, 4 in the second, leading Colorado 5-0. Ryan Giles' 32nd home run. Al Martin his 22nd. Peters against Estacio. Pedro Estacio is going for his 15th win. Montreal at Arizona. Powell against Stottlemyre. San Diego hosts Chicago. Matt Clement goes against John Lieber. Philadelphia at San Francisco. Milwaukee at Los Angeles. The rest of the National League schedule. Look out, up and in. 3-2. American League at the new Comiskey Park. Seattle won the first of 2, 5-2. Freddie Garcia won his 14th game. He came over from Houston in the trade last year for Langston. Parquet loses. Mesa picks up his 30th save. Edgar Martinez his 19th home run. Second game, Seattle 4 in the first, leading the White Sox 4-1. Alama against Castillo. So the 2 pitchers that came over from Houston last year, Garcia and Alama, each pitching tonight in that doubleheader.
Yeah, they've combined for 23 wins. About what Randy Johnson would have given them.
KC going. It's ball 4 to Tucker. 2 out, 2 on. At Fenway Park is Leo Mazzoni and Bobby Cox sit on the short end of a 9-3 deficit. The Red Sox got 2 in the second, 4 in the fifth, and 2 in the sixth. They lead Kansas City 8-1. Anaheim leading Cleveland 5-4. Bottom of 7 at Jacobs Field. Vaughn's hit his 22nd. Jimmy Edmonds his second. Dave Roberts his first for the Indians. Detroit leads Texas 1-0 into the 9th inning on a Kapler home run. Gabe Kapler's 15th of the year. That came in the bottom of the 7th for the Tigers. Moeller going for his first win against Esteban Loaiza. Toronto's won over Minnesota 2-1. Pat Henkin wins his 9th. Ryan takes the loss. Tony Batista hit his 21st home run all in the second half of the year since coming from Arizona. Boone to left center. Does he have enough of it? Jones says he has it. Does he? Neither one will get it. It's against the wall. Casey will score. Tucker will score. And Boone will stop at second. This just a miscommunication because it looked like Andrew Jones had it. He stuck out his arm as if to say, I have it. And then they both shied away from it. And it's a double for Aaron Boone, and the Reds lead it 11-3.
Well, on this ball that goes deep into the gap, it looks like Andrew Jones has got it. In fact, he gives everybody in the ballpark an indication that he's going to have it, except that his left fielder. You can't give a visual signal to your left fielder because he's up looking at the baseball. You've got to be loud and forthright with it. So apparently he didn't say much out there verbally, and that hand signal didn't get it done. So Gerald Williams cuts in front of him. And the ball bounces off the wall.
11-3 Cincinnati, and here's Hammonds. Jeffrey hit his 12th home run of the year. That was back in the second. Gave the Reds a 3-0 lead. Fly ball out, walk, and a walk. Boone sitting at second. Yankee Stadium in New York. Oakland now leading 4-0 over the Yankees. Hudson against Hideki Irabu. And that's an error on the fans, because that one ends up in the dugout of the Braves. Chuck Knobloch has hit his 14th home run as the Yankees now have put 3 on the board in the 5th. So the Yankees rallying against Oakland. How about this? Edgardo Alfonso is homered again, his 23rd. 3 in the game. The Mets now lead it 11-0 over Houston.
They better be careful. Their arms are going to get tired for tomorrow. Swinging the bat so many times.
Well, we talked a lot about it, Chris, that it was almost even Steven. The Reds playing the Braves and the Astros playing the Mets. 4 teams hunting for the playoff against each other in 2 series in 2 weeks. Hammonds taken care of, but Aaron Boone continues the hit parade. His double scores 2. The Reds have 11 runs and 12 hits. They lead at 11-3. We'll try to close it out as Scott Sullivan comes out in the 9th. Decision to make with catchers, with Laroo back up and now eligible because he's come up before September the 1st. If you come up before September 1st, if you're on the 25-man roster or on the disabled list, you are eligible to be selected for a postseason roster. Larkin backhands, fires, got it. 2 away. The only other way you can get on a roster if you are not on a postseason roster, if you're not on the roster by September the 1st, is if there's an injury to a position player and you are in the Reds organization and you replace that injured player in your same position. In other words, you can't trade for a player and then add him. But if you have someone in your organization and you were to say lose a shortstop or a second baseman, you can't add him. But for the Reds, Chris, you think catching will be a problem, and there may be a sticky point in the bullpen too, especially now with Steve Parris back.
Well, you got Parris back, so yeah, they've got some tough decisions to make when you're talking about the postseason roster. But anytime you approach that subject with Jack McKeon, he'll warn it off and say, hey, we're not there yet. We've got a long way to go, a lot of things to evaluate before we begin to make those decisions. Of course, Don Gullo will have a big hearsay and a big say-so anyway in the decisions concerning the pitching staff.
And of course, what that also means that Hal Morris is on the disabled list now, would still be available to be included on the roster if he's healthy and ready to go in September. Here's the 1-1. Walt Weiss to right field towards the corner. Long run. Did he get it? Yes, he did. Tucker gloved it right by the corner on the foul line. Michael Tucker puts it close to one of the Reds' biggest wins of '99 after losing 6 straight to Atlanta. Denny Neagle set the tone. The Reds went after the Braves early and wind up with an 11-3 victory. We'll talk more about it when we return after these messages.
That's her there. Mrs. Marshall?
Oh, I didn't see you come in. Are you in front of Mike's? Make yourself at home.
What's this? Well, I got her a cell phone a few months ago. She's got family up north.
Want some coffee?
That'll be coming your way. And yes, it's tennis time in New York City. The U.S. Open is underway, and there's already been a major upset. We'll have that coming up on Fox Sports News after the game. Well, back here at Synergy Field, the Reds have put a closure to this one, Chris, and they needed it. They got it. 11 runs, 12 hits, no errors. The Braves 3 runs, 6 hits, and an error. A big win.
It certainly was a big win, George, and you could see it almost in the eyes of the Reds players when they took the field tonight. They were going to be aggressive. They were not going to be intimidated. They were going to work on this Braves team, and maybe the Braves came in a little bit sluggish after a long night and a tough series in St. Louis, but nonetheless, they've exerted their power over the Reds all year long. It's about time the Reds finally turned the table on them. 11-3 thumping. That says a whole lot.
A lot of stars in this game. Greg Vaughn got it started in the first in the right way with a base hit. Jeffrey Hammonds had a home run to make it 3-0. The game that salted it away, the hit that salted it away, was from Sean Casey, though, our Star Bank star of the game in the 4th inning. It's a 1-run ball game, then bingo, Chris.
1 of 2 hits on the night for Sean. He goes opposite field right here. This was a very important home run. Tommy Glavin surprised to see it leave the yard. Big time handshakes in the dugout.
Your Advanced Auto Parts play of the game, number 21, got home run number 21. In the 5th inning, the story of it too. How about Jason Laroo?
Boy, he jumped all over this high pitch right there off of reliever Bruce Chen. Comes in there 3 for 3 on the night. Our first star of the game. Congratulations, Jason Laroo.
Neagle gets the win. The Reds win at 11-3. For Chris Welch, our entire crew, this is George Grant. Good night, everybody. See you at the ballpark. Fox Sports News is next.
Fox Sports News Primetime.
Hi, and how are you? And welcome inside the Fox Network Center. It's nice to see you, along with Psycho Steve Lyons. I'm Chris Myers, and you're watching Fox Sports News Primetime. And